I think I'm playing chess, I see a king, I'm at his neck. I'm 3 steps ahead of every move, now that's a check. Yes, they wanna know my secret, it's because I never slept. All my nightmares of me at 40, life's a wreck.
So here you can see checks here. Like, what check is it? Like, there's only one check on the board here, right?
Wait, we're white, right? Yeah, moving the rook, moving the rook.
Yeah, moving the rook. There's a couple of things you got to remember when you are playing in your real games, not just the puzzles, is that you never want to have your king on the edge of the board, or you never want to have it around like a...
Yeah, because that's an easy checkmate. Board, right? That's an easy checkmate.
Yeah, so you might get checkmate. You want to either keep it here, or if it has to move from check, like when you're on G8, but it doesn't have to be, then you get to calculate it. It's not like you see the check and you just play. In this case, you just got to see if you can check, is there a checkmate, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And many of this online stuff you will see, they will say look for checks, but they wouldn't say why you are looking for checks, right?
Yeah.
Actually, what you're doing is you're trying to give threat of checkmate. If there is no threat of checkmate, then you don't want to give checks because you're wasting moves, right?
Well, I feel like even if there's no threat of checkmate, checking is good because it forces his king to move, and then that gives you a free move essentially.
But what happens if you check the king here and he moves the pawn, and then your queen has to move?
Okay, yeah,
right?
then you're wasting a move. Wait, sorry, this is a complete side note. Do you play Dota 2? I see on your computer.
I do play sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I'm also a Dota player. That's funny.
Yeah, so like right here, I mean, this one is pretty simple, right? Because it's just a checkmate here, right? So, I mean, you get
the queen checkmate,
and you just catch it. Right? You always have to remember to calculate the checks, because when you calculate the checks, it has to be winning something. It's not just for fun kind of thing, right? Like, it's not like you have a check.
If you think it's just for fun, then he could end up developing his pieces.
Yeah,
while you're
you might. It might. Yeah, it's not always really good. That's why it's very important to look it up. What I mean by look it up is you don't have to like calculate like 4 or 5 moves into the checks. You just look like 2 or 3 moves into it, and that's it. When you check, if it has to be a forcing. If it's no checkmate, if there is no checkmate, or you are not winning any material, and it's just basically just rerouting your pieces, then it's generally not a good idea. That's what I mean by that.
In this scenario, it definitely is though, because you move your knight, and then you get his queen.
Exactly. So here we check, and then we get the queen, right? But just so you know, if somebody were to check here, you can see that there is a checkmate threat, right?
Yeah. From
white side. Just so you know. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of scary.
That's why it's very important to remember. He's always trying to look for something too, just like you, right? So he has some counter player against you, and we want to prevent that.
Okay, so it says white to move, so we're moving white. Okay, I see.
So that's how I'm finding moves really fast. Is I'm looking for checks, and if it's really good, then I'll just
you're actually a puzzle god. You're so fast.
So like right here, see, because it's like you do it, you keep following this philosophy for a long time, then your puzzle rush is gonna be super fast. Like your solving puzzle speed is gonna be super fast, and it also helps in your real games too, right? Because it's not just puzzles. In your real games, you can actually apply it.
Yeah, no, I did puzzles for the first time today for like an hour in the morning, and I feel like better today playing.
Yeah, it's
in my games.
That's what they get you better, right?
This is queen,
so like here,
queen to G2.
Queen takes, yeah, exactly, and just checkmate there.
I feel like these are really low elo puzzles.
Yeah, because it's 363 here, see?
Oh, this is 360.
This one this is survival. What happens is it gets harder as you go along. So each puzzle...
survival! That's funny. So there's like a mini game out of it. Okay.
Each puzzle you do is like 50 rating higher. It gets hard really fast. So like right here, you have this check.
Yeah.
And you have this check. If you only saw the first check here and he blocks it and you don't see the continuation, then it's no point giving this check out.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, the continuation.
The only continuation I have is queen to e4, and then I can win the rook.
Yeah. People do that to me all the time.
It's something very dirty. Common. It just pops up in so many cases here, right? So So this would be this is a little bit tricky, because I believe they want you to push this pawn, and when they capture, it's just gonna be a pass pawn, right?
Yeah, free pawn. That's the whole puzzle.
It's just a pass pawn coming in. Yeah, so it's not. I wouldn't call it a strong puzzle, but something that might happen in your games, right? And this one is pretty simple. You just capture here, right?
Okay, yeah, I see.
Because we don't have any checks here. If we don't have checks, second thing we look for is capture. So we have this capture and we have this capture. So when you are going for peace and the pawn is advanced, and just got to make sure that he doesn't promote to queen. That's the only thing that to keep in mind. So when I am capturing here, I'm looking at this move. What if he plays this d7, right? The best move that your opponent has is captures and attacking moves.
But here it's chill, because you could take with your pawn, and then if he moves it up, you could just move your rook to d8.
And do you think we want to move the rook? Because that's what I mean by you always look at all your pieces.
Oh,
you
you're
look at
right.
all
You're
the way
right.
through.
Okay, yeah.
See, so
Yeah.
that's what I mean by that. So I was just trying to trick you here.
Yeah,
See
and I
if
got
you wanna
tricked.
move
I
the
didn't see
rook
the
here, right?
bishop. I
So-
didn't see the bishop.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, because I mean it's very hard. You look at the piece and you see the pawn here, and you never see these 3 square here.
Yeah, that
that's
was the
issue,
X-ray
right?
vision you were telling me about
Yeah,
earlier.
so that's what I mean by
Yeah.
X-ray vision is even if you have a piece on there, always try to make sure you look at the whole way through, because sometimes when you move the piece, you don't see the piece gets developed on the back, and if you keep this in mind, then it helps your yellow points a lot, right? So
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gathering from this lesson, it seems like chess is just a lot. It's a lot of little things. It reminds me a lot of Dota 2. It's so many little things, and I think the only way to, like, when you explain the concepts to me individually, I'm like, okay, like, that's pretty obvious, but it's hard synthesizing all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a lot of skills, not just chess.
Yeah, it's just a lot of minor things, and that's what it makes up to, right? So okay, so you basically you have to have some kind of algorithm that you can actually follow all the time, and you just keep following the same steps all the time, right?
Are you talking about puzzles or in the game?
So like what I mean by that is like a couple of the steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, keep following those steps. So like checks, you look for checks, that's step 1, right?
Yeah.
The second thing you look for is captures. If you see a capture in the game, don't just capture it, always calculate it out. The capture is only good if you are winning a piece. If you are not winning a piece and you are just capturing opponent's pieces just to have like less pieces on the board.
So are you saying that the first thing you should look for in a game, any move, is a check?
Yeah, always look for checks, not play the check. That's a difference, right?
I see. I like that. That's
look
good
at
advice.
the checks, not play the checks, but always look at the checks, because sometimes there is a checkmate. You never know about it, right? So that's why you're looking for checks, is to see if there is any checkmates. That's the main reason. If you see a check and your opponent moves the king, then is there a second check? That's how you calculate. Is there a second check once the king moves, right? And then is there a third check? If there is like a constant checks coming on the opponent's king, then you try to calculate as far as you can. Yeah. Because that's all force movement. It's very easy to calculate, because the opponent's king can only go 1 or 2 directions, and if he can only go 1 direction, it's pretty easy to see, because the king is gonna go here, right? Like if you do constant checks, then it's very easy to see that how far his king is going, and you can calculate up to like 10 moves, no problem, because he's only moving the king and you are the only one moving the pieces, right?
I see. It's like a single player game at that point.
Exactly. So none of the pieces on the board really matter. Just have to make sure where they attack. That's the only thing I remember. Like knight attacks here, bishop attacks here, right?
Yeah.
So just like you look at all the pieces, like your pieces looks at the whole way through, you look at the same thing for him. You look at his bishop, look at it all the way through. Then you will see if you move his pawn, then he's gonna lose the rook.
Right? I need to work on. I think out of all the skills you're talking about, that's my number one. The X-ray vision that you were talking about. MacDaddy11C asks, "What's your puzzle rating?"
My puzzle rating would be like it's about like 2,300 around there.
2,300. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's on chess.com.
That's on chess.com. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So here we check, and he goes over here. So because it was a free piece, we just captured it. So it wasn't really much to calculate around that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that puzzle was pretty easy.
And now we have this check coming in. See?
Oh, okay. The puzzle wasn't over. Nice.
Yeah, it's not over because we just keep checking, right?
Okay, and then you use the third bishop. I see.
The same bishop over here. See?
Oh, same bishop. Okay, Okay, if you did the bishop on b3, you'd get taken.
Okay, so he just takes you back.
You get taken.
So you get taken. So what's the other check? You move the bishop anywhere you want. That's a check, right? But what if you move the bishop here? It's a check here, but the king cannot come up.
I see. That's mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
nice. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have seen that move. Okay.
So that's the other thing you gotta remember. That's the second thing you gotta remember. It's called kill box. You try to make a kill box around the king, and if you see if your piece can check around the kill box, then you try to get that, right? And they generally leads to a checkmate.
Yeah, and in this
That's
case,
what I call it.
In this case, Black made a kill box for us with his pawns.
Yeah, exactly. So I found out the kill box when I was at this move. I already saw the kill box because when my bishop moves here, king has no way to escape, right? So I know exactly where my bishop goes here.
Yeah.
So here you got to calculate because I mean.
So I'm looking for checks and I only see one with the bishop f5 to h2.
There is no checks here. It's actually black to play here.
Okay, yeah. I know it's. I meant bishop to h2, but the king would just take, so that's invalid completely.
Bishop to h2. Nothing can go to h2 though. So that's the first thing, right?
Yeah. Oh wait. Okay, my bad.
That's a pawn. Yeah. So here you got to look at it. So first thing, like especially in the puzzles, like real game doesn't really matter. That's why puzzles sometimes kind of weird. Like, because you don't know how many pieces the game are on the board, like minor pieces. So this one, 3 pieces, they have 3 pieces. So we know
that's
that material-wise.
I wish the puzzles would tell material. Like
I guess that's what they probably should work on. Because I mean, in your real game, you already know what you have, what you don't have, right?
Yeah.
In the puzzles, you just some random position, you never know because you got to look at count all the pawns and all that, right? So that's the one thing I don't like about puzzle. But other than that, everything is fine. So we just make sure we got the bishops, got the knight here, got got 2 knights here. So what happens if he just captures this one? Can he give you check? Like same thing as you are doing. You're looking for checks. Your opponent is trying to look for checks too. He's got this check.
Yeah, no, our king's well protected right now.
Yeah, and then we capture with the rook.
You cap though.
And then does he have checks? Does he have captures? No, he doesn't have anything after that, right? So then you're fine. So like right here.
Okay, you'd move the... Oh, no. There's a rook on A1.
So this one is a little bit tougher now, because you can see it's getting harder now, right?
Yeah. My first instinct was the rook to F1, but he would just take.
He will just take.
With his rook.
He will just take here. So always look at the checks, though.
Yeah,
always
so
look at the
I'd
checks.
move queen E3. That's a check.
Okay, so you have this 3 checks. Actually, all these checks, right?
Yeah.
And this rook doesn't work. And we also, the queen here doesn't work. Just like we can remove this 3, right? Because the rook just captures. If the queen goes here, rook captures, right?
Yeah.
We go here, the rook captures. So these 2 doesn't really count. And this one is the same thing. We go here, rook captures, and our rook captures, then the king captures. Then we don't have anything after that, right? Back rank doesn't really matter. Only checks we can give is here, here, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
None of it matters. So you can see that we reduce the choices from so many different moves on the chessboard into these 2 moves here. Because none of it simply doesn't work. Because we already know we are losing the piece, right?
And we just calculated all that in our heads. And over time,
only
you do it
thing you
faster
got to
and
calculate.
faster.
So that makes your calculation process a lot easier. Because the only thing you got to calculate is these 2 moves. That's it. And if it doesn't work, there is no tactic, basically, right?
Yeah. In terms of which one is more optimal, I think they're both the same, right?
So which one is most optimal? Is the most optimal move are the ones that are actually gives constant checks, not just 1 check and it's gone.
Okay, so you go.
Those are the most
F2.
optimal ones.
F2 for sure. Because if
you
went E3, he just goes.
If you see like
F1.
just an example, if you see a move with a check with a queen and you are winning a pawn, like in this case here, or you're winning a knight or something like that, and you are looking at other line, the other line gives you constant checks on the opponent, and you can see like 3-4 checks, then that one you got to calculate first.
Yeah.
Because he might be getting forced into checkmate. So that's why we don't want to get a bishop while we can already checkmate the opponent, right?
I see.
Because who wants to drag the games if you are already winning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you might lose the chance.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. So if you're winning, you want to look for checkmates, and if you can do it, then you go for it. So let's calculate your move here. Queen E3. Where is he gonna go? He wants to make sure
back.
Only one
and then
square.
It's checkmate. Yeah, it's checkmate after he takes
How
with
is it
his
checkmate
rook.
here?
Well, it's not checkmate there, but you move your rook and then he takes with his rook. And then you take with the queen.
How can you take with the queen when your queen is sitting on E3, right?
Oh, you're right. I forgot queen was E3. Queen was E3. Okay.
Because you are checking. So always remember, when you check here, king is gonna go here.
Yeah.
Then you check here. Doesn't happen. There's no checkmate. So you are out of checks. You don't have captures. So it's your opponent's turn. So your opponent can try to defend that checkmate somehow. Maybe he can play this move. Or maybe he will just try to trade off the queen or something like that. We never know, right? So we don't know what he has. In the future, you will have to start looking at what he has. But for now, I think all the way up to like 1500 rating on chess.com or around 1700 on Lichess. You don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So you just have to make sure that if you stop seeing checks or if you stop seeing captures, you are done. I mean, that's end of the calculation for you. That's it. We don't calculate further than that.
Okay.
So in this one, we can already see that king goes here. We don't have any checks. We don't have any captures. Your calculation is complete, right?
Yeah. I see.
So what about here though? When you check here, he goes here, right?
Yeah.
Can you check again?
Yeah. No, you can't. You can't.
Are you sure? What about here?
Then he takes with his rook.
He takes. Then do you have any checks? That's what I mean. You always look for constant checks.
And then it's mate.
Yeah, exactly.
With his
so
rook.
You get this rook coming in, right?
Yeah, I see.
So always remember, if there is constant checks, then we always calculate all of them out because they might lead to checkmate. You never know.
Yeah.
So here is a simple example. If you see a check, see if you can get second check after that. And that's where most of the time the tactics lie.
Hold up, I tell you, man. We gotta get some of that at the poker shop right quick, man. Going to the poker shop in my flip flops. Fucking hit your bitch in my socks. Told that bitch to kick rocks. I got loaded Glocks, loaded Glicks. I got loaded dicks, loaded sticks, loaded blicky.